This is part 6 in this series devoted to Improv Card Magic. Now today we will be looking at 16 card packets, 16 cards. And so to begin this, what we will need is 3 random piles of 16 cards each. Now this is going to use up most of the deck, as you might imagine. So I'll go ahead and just deal them out, 3 piles of 16 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoa, look at that. Just 4 cards left over, which is what we would expect. Okay, so we have these 3 piles of 16 cards each. Now, I do want to review something that we talked about in the previous video in which we looked at 14 card packets. And so this is a little system that I came up with to essentially make remembering color pairs easier, okay? So for example, let's say we lay out the cards and from the top of the deck we have a red, 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 black, 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 and so forth all the way to the bottom card, which happens to be black, okay? Now if you remember my system, what you can do to quickly remember how many red pairs you have and how many black pairs you have, and we're going to ignore the color pairs that don't match. So for example, right here we see 2 red cards together. Okay, so if we view this as an AMP, these 2 cards would be, quote, related. So what we can do is we will count a red pair as 10 and a black pair as a 1. So that when we add all of these values, the tens place will simply tell us how many red pairs we have, and the ones place will tell us how many black pairs we have. So for example, we have a red pair here, so in your mind think 10, nothing here, and we have a black pair, so that counts as a 1. So 10 plus 1 is 11. Another black pair, so plus 1 is 12. So just keep a running count. Plus 10 more for a red pair. So now we have 22 as our number. Nothing, nothing, plus 1 more, 23. So the only number, or the only information we would need to remember until the end of the performance is the number 23. And then when we go to use that number, we'll look at the tens place, which is a 2, and that will tell us that there's 2 red pairs, and the ones place, which is a 3, and that would tell us that there are 3 black pairs. Okay, so we'll kind of use this little system for remembering how many color pairs we have. Okay, well, the last one here is going to have to be a 2-cycle structure that we focus on. Now in practice, you wouldn't need to restrict yourself, right? It's because we're trying to do one of each for the sake of this video presentation to make it educational for the viewer. But let's just see what we get as a 2-cycle, okay? And it may not be all that wonderful, and quite honestly, it may not be as strong as viewing it as an AMP or possibly a mirrored structure as well. Okay, let me just kind of make sure that these are all readily visible. There you go, okay. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to jog it here. I'm trying to jog it there. I think I've done it. 4, 4. Yeah. Okay, so I have 8. These are the top 8, bottom 8. Okay, so if we want to, why don't we quickly look at it here and just see what we find with these color pairs. I guess we could do that. So we have a black pair, so that counts as a 1. Another black pair, that brings us to 2. Nothing, nothing. We add 10, a red pair, so we're at 12. A black pair, we're at 13. Nothing, nothing. Okay? So it's kind of the flip of this one. it would be 13. 1 red pair and 3 black pair. Why don't we, just for fun, do something a little different this time, kind of like we did before in the last video, where we just kind of randomly mix these face up, face down, and you can have the spectator do this. They can really make a mess. Just flip these all which way and then mix them up thoroughly. Okay, very good. Just, mix them up. Okay, now then we'll just gather these up. Okay, and so what you do at this point is you now just show these. Okay, and the purpose is really just to kind of demonstrate to the spectator that, that these are well mixed, right? With all of the up facing and down facing. You kind of show them to them and go, okay, are you satisfied that we have these, mixed up fairly well, face up, face down, that kind of thing. Okay. Well, what do you see here relative to a 2-cycle structure? Well, the break, of course, would be right there. Okay, so if we focus on up-facing pairs and down-facing pairs, where up-facing pairs count as 10 and down-facing pairs count as 1. It's kind of analogous to the red and black. So what we would see here is we have 1 up-facing. Remember, we're viewing it as a 2-cycle. So the 10 and the jack are related by position. They're both up-facing. So think 10. Come 1 over. These are different orientations. Ignore. Here they're both down-facing. So think of a 1. So 10 plus 1 is 11. Different orientation. Nothing. Nothing. Oh, here we get another down-facing pair, so that would be plus 1 more, so we're up to 12. Now the next pair is up-facing, so we would add 10, so that's 22. And then we would add another 10 for 32. Okay, so if we were to just remember the number 32, and then just know that we're associating the tens place with how many up-facing pair of cards there are, and the ones place with how many down-facing pairs of cards there are, that would be a way to go, where we can essentially, so it's 32, I believe, okay, for that, okay? And then the final one, if you remember, we did some card flipping there, which is just another way to kind of use all of these wonderful tools that we've developed on this channel. Okay, so here's the packet, and we're viewing it right from the start as a 2-cycle. Okay, so 2-cycle relative to the pairs that we noted at the beginning. Okay, well, as a 2-cycle, of course, you could do Charlier shuffle if you would like, right? Top to bottom, bottom to top. I didn't actually list it there because I was running out of, things to list. Not enough room there. Or you can do random cut. Spectator can do that, okay? Now, what I'm suggesting here is that we do, oh wow, this is really kind of twists and turns here. Okay, so we're going to do a 50% deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's half of them. That gives us 2 piles. Okay, so think about it. What's the nature of these piles? Well, it was a 2-cycle. If you count out half of them, and then if we were to stack this on top, that would make this a mirrored packet. Well, if you have a mirrored packet and you just split it in half, top 8 cards versus the bottom 8 cards, these become, quote, mirrored piles. Okay, so that's something that we've covered in quite a bit of detail in previous videos in this series. So these are mirrored piles. And as a reminder, that means that the top card here is, quote, related to the bottom card down here, and so forth. Okay. So what that will allow us to do is the swapping procedure if we would like to. So since we have 8 in each, there's 7 swaps available for the first stage. So you can go have the spectator dictate, tell you how many swaps they want allocated here. Maybe they want 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 2 left to spend, and maybe we'll spend them here. 1, 2, very good. And then you just set aside this pair, as a pair of cards. 6 swaps left. Maybe they want all 6 here. That'd be something kind of unusual. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. Set aside that pair. And then we have 5 swaps left. Maybe they want 2 here. 1, 2, and we still have 3. 1, 2, 3. Set aside that pair. Okay. And then we have 4 swaps. Maybe they'll do 2 and 2. 1, 2. And then 1, 2 over here. And then set aside that pair. Very good. And then we have 3. Maybe they want all 3 over here. 1, 2, 3. Set aside that pair. And maybe we'll go like right here. We have 2 swaps left. Maybe they want 2 over here. 1, 2. Set aside that pair. Very good. And then 1 swap left. Maybe they'll allocate it there. And then we set aside the top cards as a pair. And then the other 2 become a final pair. Okay, so we're going to have to kind of uncover the information down underneath it here so we know what we're doing. Okay, so this is, quote, a DMP now. So this is a DMP. Okay, now we are doing something we've never done before. Maybe ever on this channel, actually. So let me just straighten these up a little bit so that we can see what's going on here. Okay. So I don't recall ever doing this, but it's very cool. So what we're going to, this is a DMP, meaning these are the actual pairs that we made note of at the beginning. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to build 2 piles of 8 cards by selecting 1 card from each pair. Okay, so for example, let me move this up here, and then this up here, and then maybe this one over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to build up 2 piles by taking 1 from each. Okay, so maybe I'll take this one here, and I'll put it over there, and that one there. Okay, and so we'll take 1 from each, and kind of put that one there maybe, and this one here. Maybe over here, we'll put the jack down there and the 10 there. That's fine. This one, you want that one on the right, this one on the left. You want the jack of diamonds on the left, 10 of diamonds on the right. That's fine. Okay, and then maybe 5 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. You want this one over there, and then this one here. That's fine. And then this one here, and then that one there. Very good. Well, guess what we've just done? Now, if you stack these, well, what we did before I stacked them, we created coupled piles. As you go up each level, at each level, the cards are, quote, related. And that's how we got them. We got them from the related pairs. But if you stack the 2 halves, this is now a 2-cycle. Isn't that amazing? So being a 2-cycle, you can randomly cut it. That would be fine. You can perform as many Charlier shuffles as you would like. It won't hurt anything as long as it's a cyclic construction, which a 2-cycle is. Okay, and then we can convert it to a mirrored packet by doing this alternate Klondike, and we can do this into just a left-right if you like. You could also do it into 4 piles or even 8 piles. And then randomly stack from left to right or right to left, or leapfrog stacking. Maybe they'll want left on right. In this particular case, we are now guaranteed to have a mirrored structure. I guess I should point that out on our table. So we were at a 2-cycle, and if you look at the AK on line 21 in our table, it will convert a 2-cycle to a mirrored packet, provided that you have 4N cards, which we do here. So it does apply to this packet size. So here we are, okay? And now what we're going to do is this LR negative R. Remember that? So you just deal into, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, LR, negative R. You remember that negative R? So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4 again in the same order, we go in reverse order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this will now be a DMP. There it is, DMP. Let me just show that. But don't stack the pairs, a DMP. Now, if you randomly stack these according to the spectator's request, maybe they want this one next, and then maybe this one goes on top. They can even put some on the bottom. Maybe they want this one on bottom, this one on top, this one on top, this one on bottom maybe, and then this one on top. Okay, that's fine. You can put it anywhere. Okay, and so now where we are is we're at an AMP. And so to quote finish, what we're going to do is something that I don't believe I've done. Maybe I did it once in the last video. We're going to use the up jog. So this is an AMP. We're going to up jog that. Now, if we were to just do an up jog with random stack, what would happen to an AMP? So look at the chart there. So up jog is on line 11. So an up jog will take an AMP to a 2 cycle, okay? But we're not going to stack the halves. Well, if we don't stack the halves, then we'll have coupled piles. That's why we have a CP there. Okay, so I'll just do, let's say, an even up jog. So we'll just push forward the even position cards, okay, and then we'll just strip those out. And then we'll go ahead and just set that down as one pile. The remaining 8 cards as the second pile. And now these are guaranteed to be coupled piles. Well, that means at each level, they're going to be the special pairs. Now, do you happen to remember what number, well, maybe we should finish this first, but think about what number did we squirrel away that would be helpful in reminding us how many pairs of face-up cards we would have versus pairs of down-facing cards versus pairs of cards where there's one of each, an up-facing and a down-facing. Do you remember the number that we remembered? I believe it was 32. Yep, there it is, 32. I guess you could have this written out as a prediction, namely that there'll be 3 up-facing pairs and 2 down-facing pairs, and the other 3 pairs will be one of each. Okay, so you could have had that as a written prediction, set aside, and then you bring it out at the end. Or right now, if you've remembered the number 32, you can say, we're to the end of this very long mixing procedure in which you've made all of the important choices, which you have. Well, I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. What we're going to do is we're just going to pair these up at each level. And my prediction is that when we're done, there's going to be exactly 3 pairs of up-facing cards, 2 pairs of down-facing cards, and then 3 pairs of cards facing the opposite way to each other. So there's an up-facing and a down-facing, okay? So let's see how we do here. So we're going to have 3 up-facing, 2 down-facing, and 3 mixed, essentially. So here, this is a pair that's not up-facing or down-facing. It's both. So there's one of those. Oh, here's an up-facing. Now I'm pretty sure we're going to have 3 of those. Let's just see. Oh, here's another mixture of up-facing, down-facing. Oh, here's another pair of up-facing. Oh, we're up to 2. I predicted there would be 3 of these, and then 2 down-facing pairs. Oh, yep, right here we have a down-facing pair. Okay. Oh, and here is another mixture. We said there would be 3 of these, whereas 1 of each, right? And then we put these off together. Here is our third and final up-facing pair, just as we saw. And here is our second and final down-facing pair. Okay, so that's just another way to use all of the principles and ideas and relationships here and relate it to cards being either up-facing, down-facing, or a mixture. Okay. Okay, so that is the final routine for this 16 card presentation. Okay, so I appreciate you watching and encourage you to watch other videos in this series, and certainly take a look at other videos on the Hidden Structures channel. So thank you again for watching.